इफ्तारी नहीं होनी, इफ्तारी होया कुर्सी नॉर्मल जिस तरह होनी है उसी ने। हाँ हाँ भाई और ये खाली चली नहीं कि नहीं आऊँ
कल परसों नहीं चली, कल परसों की नहमदुहु व नसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम। बाबु सवाली वल फुतिया इंदा रमील जिमारी। अन अब्दुल्लाह इब्न अमर रज़ियल्लाहु तआला अन्हुमा क़ाल रायतु नबी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम इंदल जमरति व हुवा युसअलु फ़क़ाल रजुलुन या रसूलल्लाह नहरतु क़ब्ल अन अरमिय क़ाल इरमी वला हरज। क़ाल आख़रु या रसूलल्लाह हलक़तु क़ब्ल अन अनहर क़ाल इनहर वला हरज। फमा सुइल अन शैइन क़ुद्दिम वला उख़िर इल्ला क़ाल इफ़अल वला हरज। रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी व यस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली। अल्लाहुम्मा अन्फ़अनी बिमा अल्लमतनी व अल्लिमनी मा यनफ़अनी। या रब्बि सल्लि व सल्लिम दाइमन अबदन अला हबीबिका खैरिल खल्क़ि कुल्लिहिम। Respected elders, young brothers, friends, brothers and sisters, we have one night or one day after which we will be stepping into a very blessed month of Ramadan, a month regarding which our Prophet ﷺ used to make dua to Allah that, "Oh Allah, let me see the Ramadan, let me reach to the blessed month, a month in which righteous deeds become very easy for one to do, a month the gates of paradise are opened and gates of hellfire are locked." May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take us to this month safely, which will be after 24 hours. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to make use of every moment in the month of Ramadan. We spend each and every moment of month of Ramadan in dhikr of Allah, in remembrance of Allah, and in sending salutation of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The dars of Sahih Al-Bukhari before Ramadan, this is the last one. Inshallah, after Ramadan, then we will restart the dars of Bukhari on Tuesday. In the month of Ramadan, we will have, as you all know, after Asr prayer every day, we will have talks here, which will include everything: Dars Quran, Seerah, and also inshallah after Isha prayer, although on our timetable it doesn't say anything regarding after Isha, but still we will try to arrange something after Isha for youth so that they can benefit as much as they can in the month of Ramadan. I just read a hadith narrated by Abdullah bin Amr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and in this hadith he says that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was standing by Jamara. Jamara is a place in Mina where there are those three pillars, and the pilgrims, they pelt, and this is the sunnah of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, to pelt on those three spots. Abdullah bin Amr radiallahu ta'ala anhu says, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was either he was just standing there or he was pelting at the time of Hajj. While he was in the process of pelting the shaitan, meaning those three spots, he was being asked questions. Someone came to him and asked him a question. And Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he stopped pelting and he replied to the person who asked him a question. Now, what we learn from this hadith is, there is a hadith of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in which he says, "Innama sa'yu wa ramyu wa tawafu li dhikrillahi." Pelting the shaitan, doing sa'i of Safa and Marwa, and doing tawaf of the Kaabatullah is for the dhikr and remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which means, while one is doing the pelting, he should be engaged in the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. While one is doing the tawaf of the Kaabatullah, he should be engaged in the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. While one is doing the sa'i of Safa and Marwa, going from the Mount Safa to Marwa, he should be engaged in the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, from this hadith, what we've learned is, when an alim is in a dhikr, he's busy, and someone comes and asks him a question, should he reply to the questioner, or should he carry on his dhikr? From this hadith we have learned knowledge, the status of knowledge is much higher than the status of dhikr and remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, on one occasion in Masjid al-Nabawi, he came in the masjid and he found two groups, two circles. In one he found they were remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they were in dhikr, making dua, and he saw another group who were teaching one another, they were learning. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he looked at both of them and he commented by saying, both of you are on haqq, on goodness. And he said about those who were remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who were engaged in dhikr, he said, if Allah wills, He will grant them and He will answer their prayers. And if He doesn't will, this is entirely up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he said regarding those who were teaching, he said, these are the people who are learning the Islamic rulings, and then they will teach those who are ignorant, illiterate, those who do not know, they will teach them. And then Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, إِنَّمَا بُئِسْتُ مُعَلِّمًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent me as a muallim, as a teacher. And then he sat in this group. And then he sat along with those who were teaching, which proves that the teaching, learning, the status of ilm is much higher than the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Hazrat Qabisa radiallahu ta'ala anhu, a sahabi, he was old sahabi, on one occasion he came to Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to him, why have you come to me at this time? He said, O Prophet of Allah, I have become an old man now. I'm very old now. I have come to you so that you can teach me that may benefit me. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to him, you came from your house to the masjid here with one intention, which was to learn about deen. This was your intention. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, while you were coming to the masjid, you passed by stones, trees, houses. Each and everything that you passed by was seeking forgiveness for you. And then Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, because he came to learn something, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam taught him something. And what he taught him was, Ya Qabisatu, إذا صليت الصبح فقل ثلاثا سبحان الله العظيم وبحمده. He said, O Qabisa, after you have read Fajr prayer, then say 3 times these words, Subhanallah al-Azim wa bihamdihi. 3 times. To afu, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will save you. To afu min al-ama wal juzami wal falaji. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will save you from 3 things: blindness, leprosy, and stroke. Now just imagine these 3 words, these words, Subhanallah al-Azim wa bihamdihi. It doesn't take, much time to read. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect this person who will read these 3 words after Fajr prayer from 3 diseases. So what we've learned from this here, learning the deen. Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in another hadith said, Abu Dharr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, if you learned one masala, one Islamic ruling, this is better than offering 100 rak'ats. And if you've learned one chapter of your religion, the knowledge, then this is better than offering 1,000 rak'ats. When we look at the A'imma, all the great Imams, they really struggled in order to seek the knowledge. Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayhi, he was based in Makkah al-Mukarramah. He mentions that in the beginning, financially, I was very weak. I never had anything to buy a paper on which I could write the ahadith of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What I used to do, I used to travel from one place to another place, and I used to gather the bones. And on the bones, I would write the hadith of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then he traveled from Makkah to Medina when he discovered in Medina there is Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi. So he came here to learn the knowledge. When we look at once Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayhi, he was a great Imam of his time. He read one hadith to his pupil, and nobody said to him, you're very lucky that you don't have to travel. We had to travel from one country to another country in order to get one hadith of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Abdullah bin Mubarak, a great muhaddith of his time, he had 4,000 teachers. Just to imagine, how many, journeys he made. from one place to another place. And he had to seek the knowledge, and eventually it is mentioned the 4,000 teachers he had. Imam Al-Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi, when we look at Imam Al-Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi, in 16 years, he gathered 600,000 ahadith of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then from 600,000 ahadith, he selected for his book, this book, Sahih Al-Bukhari, he selected 7,200 and something ahadith. Just imagine. And they say, before he would write a hadith in his book, he would make a ghusl and he would read 2 rak'ats. And the people and his pupils who read the ahadith from him directly, in number there were 90,000. In number there were 90,000. So just to imagine, how much they had to strive in order to seek the knowledge of deen. Hazrat Abu Hurairah used to say, if I spend a moment in learning the deen, this is better than standing in tahajjud prayer whole night. This is better than standing in tahajjud prayer all night. Now, this does not mean that those who are knowledgeable, who are ulama, they don't have to read the tahajjud prayer. While we find, look at Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, how great Imam he was of his time. And he used to sleep in 24 hours. Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah, he would only take rest at afternoon, qailula, which is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Only in afternoon he would take a rest. And the whole night he would spend in tahajjud prayer. And he would offer his Fajr prayer with the ablution of Isha prayer. And he had done this for 40 years. For 40 years, he stood in tahajjud prayer after Isha till Fajr with the wuzu of Isha prayer. He read the Fajr prayer with the wuzu of Isha prayer. So when we look at these great Imams, along with their, studying the knowledge, learning, teaching, they were so keen and eager to offer the optional prayers. Why? Because when a believer offers the optional prayers, he gains the closeness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He becomes very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we are offering the obligatory prayer, we become the beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we are offering the nafil prayer, we become very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we find these Imams, they struggled in order to learn the deen. But at the very same time, they did not give up the optional prayers. They would offer Imam Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi, before every hadith he would write in the book, he would offer 2 rakat nafil. So in this hadith we've learned the knowledge. In another hadith, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, when people sit in the masjid, and they are learning, they are teaching one another. Now at this very moment, you're sitting in this circle, learning something, teaching and learning something. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying, when such people are sitting in the masjid and they are sitting and they're learning, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the book of Allah is being taught, or the hadith of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam being explained, then what happens? The angels, they cover these people with their wings. They surround these people, this group. And what happens? The tranquility descends upon these people, and the rahmat also descends on these people. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes mention of these people in the heavens. In the gatherings of the angels, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about these people who are learning the deen. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked by a person or prophet of Allah, what I've done is I made a mistake. Before one he said, O Prophet of Allah, I have slaughtered before pelting. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to him, Irmi wala haraj, go pelt and there's no harm. And then he said, another person came in and he said, Ya Rasulullah, halaktu qabla an anhar. He said, O Prophet of Allah, I shaved before slaughtering. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Inhar wala haraj. He said, go slaughter and there is no harm. فَمَا سُئِلَ عَنْ شَيْءٍ قُدِّمَ وَلَا أُخِّرَ إِلَّا قَالَ إِفْعَلْ وَلَا حَرَجْ. When he was asked about anything that was performed before its due time, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, go do it and there is no harm. So the summary of this and the conclusion of the talk is knowledge, the status of knowledge is much higher than the status of zikr. So my respected elders, month of Ramadan is coming, and in the month of Ramadan, alhamdulillah, every day the circus will take place, every day, and also the ulamas from outside will come in the masjid. So I will ask you a humble request, do try to take a time out for these circles, and with the intention, when you leave your home for the masjid, make this intention that I am going to the masjid, I will offer my prayer, and also I will learn my deen. And Prophet ﷺ in a hadith, he says, when a person leaves his home with the intention to learn the deen, religion, the knowledge, then he is in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until he returns home. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make this majlis means of our forgiveness, and may He accept our majlis. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.